Are you ready to get a glimpse into the future? You know how I'm always saying,
you gotta keep up with the meta trends in the OCG and TCG so you're better prepared for new set releases, tech choices, buying new cards on time.
well, now you no longer have to do these things on your own. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Meta Duelist Meta Forecast. In collaboration with the new competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame resource MetaDuelist.com, we'll be covering the current changes in the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame. We'll be grabbing a piece of the pie and looking at what decks are currently most represented in the OCG and the TCG, discuss the most notable decks of the week and my personal favorite, open up the Spice Cabinet and show you the new secret tech cards that you're still not aware of. So grab a pen and paper because this is the Meta Duelist Meta Forecast Episode 1. So it's time for the first segment of the day. Let's grab a piece of the pie and look at the most represented decks in the OCG right now. Today we're breaking down the first weeks of the January format in the OCG metagame. This allows us to take a look into the future of what's in store for the TCG, help us make better choices in cards and strategies we want to invest in, and start figuring out the right tech cards to deal with the top decks of this future format. In this breakdown, as expected, Fire Kings reign supreme with 22 duelists making up 38% of the current metagame. In top 4s, this is still the deck you want to beat. Falling behind, 7 Rescue Ace duelists make up 12%, Branded making up 8%, and Voiceless Voice making an additional 5% of the metagame. Now it's time to talk about deck lists, and this is what you want to see to start digging into the depth of the strategy, what cards are played, the ratios they're playing in, and how are they moving between hand traps, board breakers, and such. Even though Max C is, of course, a thing that exists in the OCG and doesn't exist in the TCG, you can still very clearly see some meta trends starting to evolve. So let's start talking about Fire King. The deck remains untouched by the January ban list, continuing to perform and dominate the competitive scene with some light variations in the main deck, side deck, and extra deck options. The winning list from the 248th Taiyo Championship Series features 18 flex spots out of 40, making strategic choices such as omitting cards like Snake Eye Oak, Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and multiple copies of Fire King Sanctuary and Fire King Island. This list adopts a more conservative playstyle compared to others seen previously. Despite the limitation of Emergency, Rescue Ace continues to prove itself as a worthy opponent with an impact that notably affects the deck's consistency and its follow-up. The proposed main deck appears relatively standard. In the side deck, the presence of Sinful Spoils of Betrayal Silvera and 2 copies of Diabellstar the Black Witch stand out, an intriguing choice that adds value as a starter like Witch, which also serves as a possible interruption. And lastly, notable deck of the week, number 3, Branded. What can I say? I didn't manipulate this. Branded is really good into Fire Kings. In a metagame where strategies often revolve around disrupting and destroying the opponent's monsters, a deck that is subtly making a comeback is actually Branded. The deck boasts a highly aggressive playstyle, enabling it to navigate through different endboard scenarios effectively. It excels, especially when facing interruptions like Droll and Lockbird. Notably, dealing with Mirajade the Iceblade Dragon proves to be a formidable challenge in this current metagame. And now for my personal favorite part, let's open the Spice Cabinet and see what's inside. These are the notable hot tech cards of the week. Starting off with Salamangreat in HSCS Korea, we are looking at a few notable tech cards that haven't seen play before. In the age of Link Monsters, relying on your opponent to have a Link Monster on their end board is a pretty much sure thing, whether it's SP Little Knight, who's a must-play staple, or the powerful package of Promethean Princess and Ambler Whale. Salamangreat players have realized they have a very unique and consistent way to just draw like crazy. Introducing Burning Draw, originally released in Eternity Code and reprinted in the 2021 Tins and Legendary Duelist 10 in the TCG, is the new spicy tech played by Fire Cybers enthusiasts in the OCG right now. Burning Draw is always considered a Salamangreat card, and going second if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can target a Link monster on the field and draw cards equal to its Link rating. Worst case, you target your opponent's Little Knight and you basically go Pot of Greed, but best case scenario, you target something like Promethean Princess or Ambler Whale and you actually draw into 3 or 4 more cards that could be hand traps, board breakers, or engine pieces. This makes Burning Draw a current favorite in going second consistency in Salamangreat side decks, forcing your opponent to decide whether they want to remove their Link monster from the board, losing an interruption and an end board piece just to prevent you from drawing, or letting your opponent go +4 on you. Dragon Link players are now playing Arms of Genex Return Zero in the HSCS Korea. Who ever thought that Dragon Link players will opt to play a Genex Synchro monster? The newly released Arms of Genex Return Zero that is not available in the TCG still was released originally with more Genex support than recent Terminal World set in the OCG, is now a key endboard piece in the Dragon Link strategy. Or rather, just any synchro strategy that can make level 10s. Using a Dark Tuner and an additional non-tuner or more, you can summon Return Zero to your field, and when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish one monster from your graveyard with the same attribute as that monster and negate the activation and destroy it. Meaning that, for example, in Dragon Link, you get a monster negate for darks, lights, and winds, all with one single card. Now, back to Fire Kings, and we're talking about made-to-order outfitters in the HSCS Korea. Now, Fire King is, of course, still ruling in the OCG metagame right now. With a consistent 30+% representation in top 4 decks, expecting a mirror match when you go into a tournament is pretty much a given at this point. So, players have decided to run a few tech cards to deal with such cases. Made to order Mermaid Outfitters, a card originally released in Photon Hybernova, can target a card in your opponent's graveyard, banishes it, and then you can add the same card from your deck to your hand. Meaning that if you're facing the mirror match, you can rely on this card going second to make sure you not only have a consistent starter or extender to break your opponent's board, but it can also serve as an interruption. For example, banishing your opponent's Garunix, Arvada, or Kirin from their graveyard to prevent them from playing on your turn. In addition to that, another mirror match tech has been Lullaby of Obedience. Originally released in Duelist Pack Rivals of the Pharaoh and reprinted in Legendary Collection Kaiba, you can pay 2,000 life points, declare a monster card named, and your opponent reveals that card from your deck and decides whether they want to give it to you and add it to your hand, or special summon it to your field. Now, in combination with a popular Snake Eye Populace, which is an extremely prevalent card in today's metagame in the OCG, you can force your opponent to remove it from their deck and give it to you. Meaning, you get a Populace in hand, activate the effect, summon it, and search for an extender. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about Branded, and Shaddoll is actually making a comeback. Now, Soul Release has been an important card in dealing with the Fire King strategy. Being able to target and banish 5 cards from your opponent's graveyard severely impacts the Fire King end board. Being able to banish Garunix, Arvada, Original Sinful Spoils, Promethean Princess, basically all of their interruptions and all of their follow-up. But Branded players in the OCG have found a unique solution to just having that type of interruption alongside advancing your combo and gaining advantage. El Shaddoll Aerial has already been a favorable tech choice in past formats, being able to banish 3 cards from any graveyard if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect. Now, citing 3 copies of Shaddoll Fusion, Branded players are now able to have a little more advantage going second, making Shaddoll Fusion into a banish 3 monsters from your opponent's graveyard with Aerial, drawing a card with Shaddoll Beast, and summoning El Shaddoll Apkalone, which on summon can negate any face-up card on the field permanently. And while Branded is severely impacted due to only having 1 Branded Fusion and 1 Branded Opening, Branded players are now combining not only Shaddolls in their strategy, but also That Grass is Greener to advance their combo even further and gain more advantage in a 40-card metagame. So this has been the first Meta Duelist Meta Forecast. Let me know in the comments what you think about this video, and of course, check out Meta Duelist for all of your OCG and TCG metagame reports. So make sure to check them out, link in the description below, follow them on Twitter as well, and if you're there already, follow me too. Leave a like, subscribe, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.